We're back and we're moving into our first conversation for this morning as we focus on tourism in Belize. And this conversation is with the private sector membership group, Belize Tourism Industry Association. And we're also going to have the first conversation with their new president on set with us. We'll start off with her. We have Melanie Paz, who is the newly elected president of BTIA in the middle. And joining her this morning from the BTIA office or the secretariat, we have John Burgos, who is the executive director, and Gale Malic-Ozaeta, who is the project manager for BETEX, but also works with BTIA. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Yes, very exciting time very exciting time in the tourism industry right now, and I think we have been hearing repeatedly over the years how tourism is growing. This year, there's a lot to be proud of, and I just want to start off by finding out what your perspective is, what you're hearing from your members about how things are going. We're in the middle of high season right now. Yeah?
Well,
who wants to start?
Ladies first. But, well, what we can say is that, it has been positive with regards to overnight and cruise tourism.
Yeah.
The numbers are showing positive growth, steady growth, record years over the last 2 years mainly. It has been trickling down to various extents to different areas. New destinations like Hopkins are coming up, getting more visitations. And it also it's allowing for the industry and the service providers to grow as well. You see new tours coming up, new attractions being discovered, which is what makes Belize a little bit more interesting than other destinations. And we remain very competitive in terms of the quality of service and the experience that we've been offering. So we are very happy to see where the industry is going. There's still some challenges, as everything else, but we hope to continue with that positive growth.
Mm-hmm. Now, Melanie, let's talk about you being elected as the new president for the association. And, you come from San Pedro. I know sometimes there's a bit of competition with the South and San Pedro, who's in the leadership. But talk to me about why this is an important role for you to take on.
It's important, for anybody that's in the tourism industry to take on a role like this. Mm-hmm. And that's part of what we want to try to implement this year or the next 2 years in the leadership roles in the different destinations, because nobody wants to the head position. It's hard to get people to commit. It's a lot of work, but it's satisfying in that and help the tourism industry grow.
Yeah.
So I was kind of reluctant at first because of the amount of years I've been in the tourism industry. It's been a very long time, but John and Osmani and them related to me how important it was, number one, to try to get somebody from San Pedro, because nobody's been in that position in BTIA from there in a long time. And also because I've been in the tourism industry for so long. So
yeah.
What is your vision and what do you intend to be your mark?
My mark for the next 2 years, well, the BTIA does have a strategic plan, but I really, like I mentioned a little while ago, I want to increase the membership in the country. This organization that is very important in the tourism industry, we don't have a lot of members. I don't consider 400 a lot for this industry. Yeah. And to try to get people to take on the leadership roles. Every year, well, I know in San Pedro in particular, it's hard to get somebody to be the chair and vice chair, secretary and treasurer. And that kind of position would lead them up to being in this kind of, in the secretariat and the president and vice president positions in the national. So that's one of the things I want to do.
Coming from San Pedro itself, what do you find to be the hesitation?
It's just people don't want to they take on the responsibility, I would say, because it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of your time, and this is a volunteer job, so it's not like you're getting paid for it, and it does take a lot of time. Yeah.
Is it that they don't see it as important? They don't see it as effective?
I think they do see it
not
as
relevant to what's going on
important.
with them.
It's just like everybody has their own full-time jobs, so literally you have to make time to be in this position and in those positions as chairs as well.
Yeah, that's fascinating because I mean San Pedro is the biggest tourism destination.
Well, the number one.
Yeah, and you know there's so many different businesses there as well. I'd imagine that's where your largest membership would come from. How much? And this is general for the country. How much does the competition aspect affect the involvement as members? If I am
Well, to be honest with you, we haven't had the challenges in terms of competition among the members. I think we have a very friendly environment which really supports each other. Because if you have a group of tour operators, they're all going to be experiencing the same challenges and some of them the same successes. The same thing with the hotel industry. You know, we have certain issues within hotels. All of them can relate to that. You know, they have, like in San Pedro, we're having an issue with water pressure there. You know, and you know, we still San Pedro being asking for a full-scale hospital there with operating theater for a number of years now. You know, I mean, these are the issues and they all can relate. So what the BTIA really offers is an opportunity for them to really join forces and be able to influence any change. And that is where a lot of people see the value and they are willing to commit the time, but they want to be that supporting role. They don't want to be the leadership, which is surprising to me because I said BTIA really offers a very genuine opportunity for you to be able to bring a certain idea and be able to say, you know what, my like right now, the focus of the chair lead of the San Pedro BTIA, she wants to keep the island as clean as possible. So she has been engaging the community, raising a lot of fund, a lot of support with cleaning up campaigns. If you look at San Pedro, on the south side specifically, there's a lot of garbage, I mean, just pile up on the side of the street, which it's not good for the tourism industry, it's not good for the residents, it's not good for the environment. So that's one of her main focuses that she's doing. You know, and she brings that, she's very passionate and she has a lot of people supporting her. But as she mentioned, it takes a lot. She has her full-time job and it takes a lot out of that. But you know, we believe that we have been growing in that aspect, that people are beginning to realize and say, you know what, I see a lot of things wrong with the industry. I talk a lot about the issues, but you know what? I'm not taking action. So they're seeing that connection of they stepping up to lead certain initiatives.
And the advocacy role is important. I think where there are some investments being made in tourism, in the tourism sector, it's really helping to prioritize where you see the needs because you're in the belly of the beast. The water pressure issue is not, I mean, this has been for so many years.
A lot of years,
so much so that when Belizeans go to San Pedro for Easter, they know that there'll be certain days that it'll be hard to take a shower, right?
You're gonna stay salty.
Yeah, that's how bad it is for people who don't know that.
But several of the other destinations have problems similar to us. Like this weekend, Belmopan BTIA did a cleanup campaign as well because of all the garbage that's on the side of the roads. And honestly, it hurts me to see that our Belizean public have so little civic pride that they throw all their garbage on the side. Our problem is dumping. It's not so
Illegal
much that people throw their garbage on the side of the road. It's that the people that collect it go and dump it on the side of the road. So that's a major problem. But I'm not sure if it's educational or, you know, information that's not out there, that people are just doing this kind of stuff, but we need to find a solution to it. I must say, you know, we were talking about leadership roles, but in a positive side, the board that we have right now is excellent. So I'm happy to be part of the board that's there right now at BTIA.
Now, BTIA has definitely, I think, been one of the voices that people have been looking at for quite a number of issues. You know, John, you've been here several times talking about sargassum, offshore oil drilling, you know, showing the tourism sector's interest in what some would see maybe even as non-tourism issues, right? More environmental. How much do you think that has helped in having the members see this body as their representative, looking out for their best interest?
Well, I mean, the issues that we take on, we see the connection. I mean, everything is connected in some way or the other. If you have a food shortage, it's going to affect your tourism industry. If you have a dirty environment, it's going to affect your industry. If you have an outbreak of any disease, it's going to affect. If we have the high influx of sargassum, it's going to impact everybody. You know, and tourism as the number one industry at the moment, you know, you got to be cognizant of that, and you got to see how you're going to provide that support. Now, in terms of the membership, our efforts have been recognized.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, especially in San Pedro, in areas like San Pedro, the membership has been growing very rapidly. Because they see our presence there, they see us trying to fight for the issues. We're trying to bring awareness to whether it's the town council, whether it's the ministry, you know, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Works, whoever it is, we're trying to bring that awareness. And since the inception, the BTIA has been very strategically positioned so that we are aware of all the issues. You know, we have representatives on so many committees from the government that we are able to know about the issues before they become an issue, and then be able to really do the research and understand what our position should be. And that information sharing is also key because our members receive a lot of information. She says as president, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of information. Yes, but the members get similar amount of information because we want you to be informed, which is one of the key things that I think many times a lot of us try to live a normal life and you put things to the side, but there's a lot of things happening when you are looking the other way. And we're trying to make sure that you're looking everywhere so that you know how things are impacting you, you know. And it has been positive. I mean, what has been a little bit limiting is that retention of some members that have been for BTIA for 10 years, been paying out their membership. And I think it reaches a point where they feel like, you know, we are not doing enough, although we're doing a lot. And one of the things I point to is who else is advocating on your behalf? There's really nobody else advocating for the tourism private sector. You know, which is the key thing. I tell her, whether it's something that impacts you directly, we are doing somewhere that is going to impact the tourism industry as a whole. And I think that alone should give you the idea or the enough information for you to say, you know what, I need to be a member of the BTIA, I need to support the BTIA.
One of your key allies is the Belize Tourism Board. What's the relationship like there? Because that's where you get direct access to be able to have some influence on changes that are made.
Yeah, well, we have been able to, over the last 3.5 years, been able to build a very positive relation and partnership with them. We call them partners because we sit aligned. They're government, we are private sector, so we're aligned at the same level. So we have been able to build. They support a lot of our projects with funding. When it comes certain consultation processes, we're always there to support them, and we try to provide that. Right now, just to give an example, right now I'm sitting on the high-risk committee for water sports. We're developing the minimum standards for water sports. Last year, we completed the minimum standards for zipline and canopy systems, and we have completed the minimum standards for scuba diving in Belize. I mean, these are all things that have been done over the last 3 years. Right now, we're also working on a final legislation for hotel and tourist accommodation minimum standards, which has been revised from 1998. So, you know, and these are things that are done very jointly. I mean, I spent a lot of time, a lot of resources working with them on those issues. We already have our first meeting scheduled for Monday with the BTV to begin to discuss what is going to be for the next year, you know, and then of course introduce our new president so that we can continue that process that we have built over the last 3 years.
John, you've rightly said, I think one of the things that we shouldn't miss in the conversation, which is currently tourism is our top earner in this country. And it has been, you know, second for quite a while. Agriculture dipped. But at the same time, while it's a moment for celebration, it can also make people very nervous because tourism, as a hot commodity, can have a challenge that devastates it, from natural disasters to perceptions of the tourists themselves, to raise in prices, whether it's airline or whatever other tax may impact them. I mean, how do you ensure that your members stay focused on the fact that it is most important when you're on this high, that the maintenance is really going to be the hardest part?
Yeah, what we have decided to do last year is that we need to improve the quality of our services. So we signed an MOU with the Mexican embassy to begin to bring some better training opportunities. We're going to be having exchange programs where students at the junior college and university level to be able to go to Quintana Roo and get training specifically in the areas that they're interested. And the same thing for full-time employees. If a hotelier has 3-4 employees that they wanted to, you know, get training in housekeeping, customer service, whatever area, we're going to be able to provide them opportunity to go to Quintana Roo and get that training. Also, we're going to be bringing professionals to come and do training here. Training focusing on culinary, housekeeping, bartending, and advanced tour guides. A lot of tour guides are good, really good, but they don't really, they need to keep refreshing themselves. So we believe that service, the quality of service needs to improve, and that is where the focus will be. And of course, all of that is linked to the support you get from the manager and from the management. You know, you have to have all the resources being provided. You need to, you know, if you have a small hotel, you need to keep doing little things that keep it fresh. You know, and that is what we're trying to tell our members as well. Don't be complacent. To be number one, you have to work harder to stay at number one. So that is the message we're doing and the support that we're trying to provide.
And part of that training to John is they want to train trainers. So if Belizean people want to do the training and become trainers for here, that way we can have our local people here training.
Yeah, with the training program is focused for, let's say you have somebody doing housekeeping for you for 10 years. But they don't have any official certification or accreditation that they can do the job. So we're going to provide opportunity for those individuals to go and do the accredited program. So when they come back, they can actually do training in San Pedro, in Hopkins, in whatever. Because we have a shortage of certified trainers as well.
And just to be clear, while there's a drive for people to want to come to Belize, where are the weaknesses? Where are we having people leave saying, you know, Belize is pretty, but...
I think infrastructure-wise, we still have ways to go. Like you mentioned, the water shortage is one thing. You know, access to medical treatment is a limitation. You know, some roads are still deplorable. You know, the way some sites are kept are still not to the standards that they should be. You know, I think that's where we need to ensure that we have a balance between the growth and the infrastructure. I think this infrastructure is staying a little bit behind.
I'm surprised that you have not referred to security as yet as a major concern. I'm sure that when the tourists hear about Belize and they hear about some of the challenges that we're having in terms of crime, that must be an issue.
Well, if you look at the numbers, you know, when we have one tourist get robbed or assaulted or any other crime, you know, we sensationalize it a little bit too much, in my opinion, because the numbers are there that show, you know, you don't have that high rank of tourists getting impacted by crime. You know, there are incidents like every other destinations. You know, I mean, if you're gonna be walking 4 o'clock in the morning on a dark street, you might find yourself liable to an incident happening. You know. So, but you know, I mean, the concentration of our crime situation is here in Southside Belize City. It has been spreading, but I think it's still not at the level that our tourists are going to be extremely concerned. But the issue is that the way the media internationally perceives certain incidents. When you hear a tourist gets in some kind of crime, it becomes a big issue. And I always tell people, you ask the visitors that come here, you can still, you're going to San Pedro, you can still walk anywhere. People are friendly, going to help you. You go to Cayo, the same thing. You go to Rinjuak, you go to Hopkins, you go to Placencia, it's the same. It's still a very safe environment. I mean,
there seems to have been a spike in San Pedro, though. As we watch the news, it seems that San Pedro is becoming a little bit more active in terms of criminal activity.
Like John mentioned just now, it's spreading out to the outer districts and to the Keys. Not pointing fingers or anything like that, but most of the incidents in San Pedro have to do with drug-related incidents with turf wars and that kind of stuff. So we don't really, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but we don't have that many incidents either with tourists being attacked or killed as such.
And this is a critical point because this is actually it's almost like a natural disaster on its own. You know, we've seen few cases, you're right, where tourists have been directly affected, but it really takes one major case. If we go back to the Aruba incident and what that did for the public perception, we had a news producer,
Yeah, 2
murdered
years
in
ago, yeah.
Ohio. And for some reason, that didn't become a part of the identity of Belize for some reason. But it does mean that just one incident, one case,
Yeah.
one terrible story, even if it's not an actual murder, can have devastating impacts on the industry. How do you work to address that? Because while what I'm hearing from you, and you're right, based on statistics, that the crime is more localized, and even the media coverage of crime is more localized, as I said, it'll take one particular incident if it's a innocent bystander or a targeted attack.
Yeah, well, we have continue to advocate our advocacy efforts. We have been held meetings with the Minister of Police, with the Compol, Mr. Wiley. We're looking forward to transitioning to Mr. Williams, the new Compol. We have been working with Mr. Rudolph Orillo as well. He's in charge of special constable programs, neighborhood watches program, business watches program. So we're trying to say, there's only so much that the police department can do for you. You, as an individual, as a business owner, have to do your part as well. So we're trying to organize ourselves and get more people trained so that they can be able to address the crime situations in their destination. So we're trying to encourage these programs all across the country. I think on this last week we had about 20 odd special constables being newly graduated program in San Pedro. 14, was it 14? So you're going to have more soldiers in the ground to say, and these are the things that we continuously try to remind government. Say you cannot ease down and take back and say, oh, nobody got shot in February, things are good. No, it's not a situation. You have to ensure that you have to continually do your operations and communicate with the private sector, because you live there, you know what's happening. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows in the neighborhood who is the thief, who is the drug addict, who is the one peddling the drugs. So police need to be able to communicate with those communities and be able to address the problems head on.
Can I ask one other question along that line? I remember my first exposure to BTIA was when I sat on the Crime Control Council. The Crime Control Council, as you know, is the body legislated under the Crime Control and Criminal Justice Act. But what it did was it allowed for a holistic, proactive view. So you had people from the BTIA, you had people from the Chamber of Commerce, you had people from the Bar Association, and people from the judiciary. And they sat down and they looked at problems that would arise from before. Mm-hmm. So it allowed everybody to put their input, not necessarily on just the San Pedro branch or just the... Do you think that that's a move that we should go back to? The legislation still exists, but maybe you think that would help in terms of allowing to stem off some of the issues that might arise down the road?
In my opinion, definitely. There could never be enough communication between the citizens and the government to address the crime situation in Belize. Because you see changing, you see the players change, and you know who they are. So how do you stop that? We don't have the expertise. The police should have the expertise. So they are the ones that, once we express the problem and possibly present solutions, then they can say, this is what is going to work. Yeah. Last year, CEO Lovell had an initiative under I was disappointed that they didn't follow through. They had contracted a consultant, and he presented a document whereby he outlined a specific work plan with objectives to address. A lot of what he mentioned, based on his expertise, was improving the police department, the way they operate, the efficiency, and the quality of service from the police officers themselves. Mm-hmm. I was really not happy that it didn't continue, because the objectives that were there and the way they were outlined and the specific things that the police department, if he would have been able to do 10 of those objectives, I think he had about 20. 10 of those objectives, we would be able to address a lot of the crime situations. So what you mentioned there, I think we should definitely go back to that system where you have that monthly or quarterly meeting where you discuss and say, we're having this issue, we're having this problem. Yeah.
Well, it's great to hear the willingness to partner.
Yeah, but I think, I sat in that committee, and there were people there that have been working with crime 10, 15 years, and it says, you know what, we're tired of these committees that lead nowhere. You know, and I share the sentiments. I mean, I've just, through the BTIA, I've been involved in 3.5 years of attending these committees, attending these meetings. Everybody comes in an idea, and then we try it, and then it goes
And
nowhere.
there's no
You attend 3, 4 meetings, and then nothing. We need to pick something and stick to it and really implement it. I think that is what I hope this poll focuses on.
And there are case studies of how the tourism sector can definitely help in mitigating crime. I think the San Ignacio example from many years ago, when they helped to work on the infrastructure of the police station when they were having trouble there, is a great example of how you kind of just take the lead and jump in and help. So that's comforting to know. But I want to move to another issue which is very critical, and that is looking at sargassum. I know we spoke of it in terms of the committee that has been put together. This is kind of a unified fight against nature. But it has had effects where you've seen, I mean, last year I remember going to a place and it is terrible, the smell, and the cost of cleaning it up. What are the plans for this year?
Well, we just had a meeting with the Sargassum Task Force yesterday to really evaluate what has happened over the last 4 months. Government finally stepped in and said, you know, you're going to give you some support so that you can, you know, address the Sargassum issue. So we're at the end of that provision that the government gave, so we're looking to submit a new recommendation for the government for them to renew and extend it. So that, because the forecast said that in February of 2019, sargassum is going to come back. And it is coming back slowly. We already look at the satellite imagery. It is coming this way. You can't really know the volumes right now because that is based on the current of the waves and a whole lot of weather patterns that it's hard. We don't know what the volumes are going to be, but we are estimating it's going to be similar volumes like last year, which was the largest volumes that we had before. So what we have been doing is that we're still trying to develop a national master plan to be able to have a proper system in place so that it can be addressed. The main thing that we're trying to do right now is to source funding so that through the municipalities, they have the funding available to do cleaning up campaign, identify private areas where it can be disposed of. We're also providing support for people to purchase equipment. We're trying to identify booms that can prevent it from reaching your coast. But when you're dealing with booms, you have to look at the maintenance of booms. The sargassum still needs to be cleaned and removed because it's going to pile up there.
It broke the one in Mexico, right?
For the same reason, because, you know, you reach up, you know, I mean, you look at Placencia last year. Placencia had about 200 feet of sargassum in the peninsula. 200 feet. I mean, you can't swim in there. UBERI, along with the Department of the Environment, conducted a very short study to see some of the impacts of the fish kills and the impacts it can have on humans, human health. And there were definitely a correlation between sargassum, because what happens when it compiles to 50 feet and it begins to decompose, it creates hydrogen sulfide. And that's those two things. It eliminates the oxygen in the water and the odor that it releases. If inhaled by humans, it's a poison. It creates a lot of issues. A lot of people have rashes. A lot of people have pulmonary issues, breathing issues. So you know, there's a lot more to be done. So, but we have things in place right now that we're looking to hit the ground running as it is right now. So the main thing that we're going to be doing right now is cleaning up campaigns.
Strategically, what does the BTIA suggest? Because every problem creates an opportunity. So we know that the sargassum is going to come in, and it's going to come in loads. Does that mean that the strategy of the BTIA is to then look to internal destinations and to see if we can bolster those so that those deal with the revenue that would have been lost by the persons who would come in to enjoy our beaches?
Well, looking at the marketing that is taking place, the #1 destinations are all coastal. San Pedro, Kikaker, Placencia, and then Hopkins is coming along really good right now. Thereafter, the other destination is Cayo. Now, but the formula for Belize has always been that we're so small and so easy to move from destination to destination that yes, they come for the beach and sun, but some of them they do both.
Yeah.
They want to do the
jungle and the
adventure
beach, yeah.
and the jungle and the caves and the archaeological sites, and then they want to go on unwind on the beach and the sites. So the sargassum is really focusing more on the land experiences. It's not really gonna complement, or not really complement, but replace the need for the beach. You still need the beach experience, because I'm telling you that people are, especially go to Cayo, they would go to Cayo, they go to Rinjoag, and they go to Toledo, and then they want to go to.
So if somebody's coming for beach, they want beach.
Yes.
So how do we replace the beach experience?
We can't. We have to protect it. We have to try to protect
It
it.
there has to be a dedicated department for cleanup a couple months for the year. I don't know what you're going to work towards and who's going to fund it. That's really the main thing. I know when we spoke with the task force the last time, in other countries, a lot of it is paid for by the government, but it is a problem that will reoccur.
Well, right now the government has $1.5 million available for cleaning up campaigns.
Okay.
Nice. They have granted 2%, so hoteliers can beachfront hotelier properties can withhold 2% of the tax to use towards the cleaning up. So the incentive has been given. They provided, they also provided duty exemption for any equipment that you want to use to address this sargassum. So if you're going to put booms, you can apply for that. You want shovels?
Yeah, those are some very smart solutions. Because I know part of the cost of hiring people to clean it up was burdensome.
You have to because your regular maintenance people don't have time to deal with the amount of sargassum that comes in. Yeah. So you actually do have to hire other people to come and deal with that problem if you're a beachfront hotel.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move forward though with the conversation because I don't want us to run out of time to talk about BTEX. So it only happens every 2 years.
Gale has been too quiet.
So I know, right? She's here and she's ready to give us all the information. So it is a tourism expo. You host it every 2 years. 2 years. And tell me, what is the plan for 2019?
So the 2019 BTEX will be a roadshow. The past BTEX events, at least the last 2 or 3, have been a centralized event where in one location, all buyers and sellers meet and for 2 days, and then buyers go out and post stores. A roadshow takes buyers across the country. So buyers will first go to Placencia. They will have a half day of meetings in Placencia and a half day of site inspections. They have the opportunity to experience the culture and adventures in Placencia. They then move on to San Ignacio. On their way to San Ignacio, they do a short stop in Belmopan, see what Belmopan is about, experience Belmopan. They do meetings in San Ignacio and site inspections as well. From San Ignacio, they make their way to Belize City for a night, and there's a small mixer cocktail in Belize City before they make their way over to San Pedro for meetings and site inspections and a beach party. So as we had mentioned before, the roadshow gives buyers the opportunity to really savor their Belize experience, and that's the theme of the event, savor your Belize experience.
It's like bar hopping.
Destination
hopping. But it really is giving them the practical experience that they'll be selling, which is what John spoke about, that you can move from one part of the country to the other in just a day or two.
Exactly, that is rightly so.
Yeah.
And buyers we have been communicating with so far are very excited about this format. They feel that it will really give them that opportunity to learn about Belize and see the suppliers that they will be meeting with. In most cases, in past cases, it has been just meetings and I don't know your property, I don't see what you're selling or what you have to offer.
They have to rely on the brochures and websites.
Exactly. now buyers have the opportunity to go to the suppliers' businesses and see their amenities, see their services, and they are better able to sell that package, put a package together. They can, after leaving Belize in May, they can put a package together from Placencia all the way to San Pedro.
I'd imagine that the interest level from the buyers is a great indication for you as to just how much there is interest in Belize. How are we doing and where are these buyers coming from?
They're coming, so far they're US. I'm getting interest from Canada, and we also get interest from Europe.
Okay.
what I'm seeing so far, most people want to visit wedding and suppliers that offer wedding services and honeymoon. So that's more on the luxury end type property. So they're very interested in knowing who they're going to meet with. So we encourage suppliers to register early, because we do have some potential buyers who don't want to make a decision on whether they're coming until they know who they can potentially have meetings with. And so we're seeing more of that luxury high-end interest. We're also seeing the adventure interest.
Of course. And what about the Central America region? Because we do have now the Mexico flights, the Panama flights, and I know we've been trying very hard to tap into South and Latin America.
Yes, so we do have all our promo items, our flyers and promotional material in Spanish. The tourism board sent a couple representatives to Mexico today. I believe they left today. And they'll be talking about BTEX in Mexico to those agents. So hopefully we get some interest from that side. And we are also tapping into South America. We've always tried to tap into everywhere pretty much, but our main focus has been to try to get the Europeans to come in and see. But everybody, I can say for 2017, we had representatives from all over. Central America, Europe, Canada, and the US. Not so much South America.
Where are we in terms of developing the packages? We have buyers coming in, and they have a certain expectation. What work have we put in terms of developing the packages to know, listen, this is what's trending. You need to make sure you have these kinds of features and attractions. How are we in terms of developing the package that the buyers are going to be in a frenzy by the time they leave?
By the time they leave. So the format itself allows for buyers to get a feel of a little bit of everything. Luxury, beachfront, inland, rustic, and we're moving on to San Pedro. It's more that island life, island vibe type of atmosphere. So we can't really put together a package that will just cater to one. It has to be able to cater to all, and even if they're not interested in adventure, they get a feel of the adventure and maybe decide, this is something we can venture into or tap into. It all depends on the type of suppliers who participate as well. And we do with the reduced rates, because we've been able to reduce, this format allows us to reduce the rates for suppliers to participate and for buyers to participate as well. So with the reduced rates, we expect to, and already seeing, not only high-end, the regular high-end properties who always participate in BTEX, we see the budget and moderate type hotels participate.
Have you worked with these packages, for example, for some of the less developed packages, to say, listen, we're going to have this expo, this is what's going to happen. You probably need to take this down, paint that up, change that to get used to a certain minimum standard at the very least.
You're referring to
the
the
properties,
themselves.
the services,
Yeah.
Or is it just whatever you bring to the table, that's what we're going to feature?
It's what you have. It's what you bring to the table, really. In terms of where the buyers are going to stay, we are sort of selective of where they're going to stay. Not because buyers have a preference. They don't want to stay. Some buyers don't feel comfortable staying in really a room without AC or too rustic. But we do a site inspection there so that they can have an appreciation of what that type of business has to offer and what it, that's not bad. You may have clients, you will have clients who that's their interest. But in terms of where the parties will be held, where the dinners will be held, lunches and the meetings themselves, we select those, and we're very selective of.
One of the things that we try to do with BTEX is that we try to match the buyers, let us know what their interests are, and then we try to matching with the suppliers. So we have a whole scheduling system whereby we try to, as close as possible, bring them together so that they can then build that partnership and begin that working relation.
Yeah, if I sell to backpackers, what I'm looking for is totally different, which is what a lot of the Europeans do when they come in as well. But what I see interesting here is your experiences. So you're passing through and making sure they get a taste of these places. Hopkins, you say, is growing naturally because it has such a beautiful beach. But Dangriga and Belmopan are two of the destinations I think that you've been working to try to get more exposure to. And I have to be the Belizean, and say, well, what is there to experience in Dangriga and Belmopan? I mean, you don't have time to go out to the Great Keys off the coast of Dangriga.
No.
Maybe to the drum shed, but...
Well, that's...
It's the cultural experience.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what we, as Belizeans, we take for granted. We're not interested in that. Visitors are very much interested in the cultural experience. They want to know where the drums are made and how it's made, and they want to see how that hudut is made and see that fire heart go. We are not interested in that, and that's what...
I am.
Some of us. That's what visits to Dangriga will offer our buyers,
and
the
Belmopan?
opportunity. And Belmopan, it's the adventure. There is the St. Herman's Blue Hole National Park.
Yeah.
There are some high-end resorts in Belmopan, well, on your way to Belmopan, not really the city, but on your way to Belmopan, who offer that adventure activities that buyers would be interested in. For that reason, we need to move them.
Yeah, I think the beauty of this new format, the format of our roadshow, is that we are going to be able to see what is on the way from one location to another. Yeah. When you're doing to a site inspection, you get to see how you get there, what is there, and so on. And let me tell you, I always tell people, I enjoy traveling from Belize City all the way up to PG, because the change of terrain, you see the mountain, and you see the pine, and you see the So, and I tell people, and I have to give government credit, because what they have done with the hummingbird, with the improvements on the roads, we need that on all our major highways. The proper painting of the roads and lighting of the road.
And the reflectors.
So these buyers are going to get exposed to that, and we're trying to encourage our destinations to be able to sign up and say, you know what, I want you to come here to look at Dangriga because we're going to have this experience for you.
Fantastic.
Come to Belmopan, we're going to have this experience to you. Come to Kaya, we're going to have this. And the way it's designed that all the service suppliers can decide which destination is suitable for them. If they want to go to Placencia to meet with the buyers, that's fine. They want to go to Cayo, that's fine. Or San Pedro, that's fine.
Okay.
So they can choose. We're not going to Orange Walk or we're not going to Corozal does not mean that properties or businesses from those destinations can't participate. They can. And we do have quite a few.
How do they participate?
They sign up for a meeting either in San Pedro or San Ignacio or Placencia.
It's like an elevator pitch in a quick meeting. That's what it is.
And although this format does extend to 6 days, buyers do want to know, what can I do after the event is finished? And that's where the other suppliers who participate from the other destinations come. They have the opportunity then to say, okay, I can take you to my property after.
I can host you in my property.
And that's what I was going to add. How much, traveling to expos is expensive, and what happens is you do only have the brochure, now the video, and pictures to show, and this is really a hands-on experience. People get to see what your property is like. How have you seen the members taking advantage of BTEX? Is it a no-miss opportunity? Like, you don't want to miss BTEX?
I would absolutely say that don't miss opportunity. Like you said, in the past, it's always been a designated spot where you come and do your brochures and sit there and expect your meetings. Where with this, it's in your destination, and you should absolutely take advantage of the fact that it's there.
For a property to, let's say, go internationally for a show, it costs a lot of money, way too much. To meet with the same caliber of agents that will come here, and you have to spend far less. And the agents that are coming are not just any agents. The moment an agent says, I can spend up to $500 to see you here in Belize, plus pay my ticket, they mean business. So suppliers can be assured that they're not going to waste their time. It's people who are really interested in wanting to work with them, that will make that investment to come here.
In comparison to BTEX 2017, we are making it more affordable to suppliers to attend as well, because the registration fee was a little bit higher than what we have now. So that alone gives you an even better opportunity and better access for you to be able to take advantage of all the good work that we're trying to do with BTEX and the quality of agents that we want you to bring to your doorstep.
Yeah, it's cheaper for someone from PG to go to Placentia
Yes,
than to Belize City as
exactly.
well. Yeah, this is a great idea. Now, how do you measure the success of a BTEX event? You have it every 2 years. It's been going for so long. How do you measure the success?
Well, it's a little bit difficult to pinpoint whether it was a success for all suppliers, because at the end of the day, it's the suppliers who will say it was successful for me or not,
Okay.
whether I made business from it or not. We do have some suppliers who, for 2017, right at the event, said, I've already made back my investment in this event. And there are some suppliers who say, I saw people who I already work with, and it's already going good, and I really got nothing out of it. It all depends, and for that reason, we encourage suppliers to not just depend on that 20 minutes that you have with that particular buyer to say something will come out of it.
Yeah.
You need to do follow-up. Follow-up has to happen. You have to be behind the buyer. I met with you. We spoke about this. How can I help you further to let us work together? Whatever it takes. And we give suppliers tips prior to the exhibition days on how they can prepare themselves for their meeting. And we give them tips on what to do after that meeting to lock in that buyer and work with them, especially the new ones that they met with.
Yeah, like for 2017, we know that some properties did let us know, you know what, I have already partnered with this buyer.
Yeah.
They're already going to be sending a group of people to my establishment for me to host them and provide all the tours. So, that alone lets me know that whatever investment they made on signing up for BTEX, they already got more than sufficient return. And once you partner with those agents, that's something that's going to last you for long. Yeah.
And that's my question in terms of assessing it from the standpoint of the supplier. How do you incorporate the perspective of the buyers? How do you get feedback from them as to how successful it was? Because if the pie is really the supplier, the buyer.
The buyer.
Because you can always change. If they say, I have a nice package over there, Corozal is a beautiful destination, but if you tweak this, that, and that. So how do you assess and incorporate the feedback from the buyers?
We normally do a post-survey for buyers and suppliers. And to be very honest, I will say that feedback received from buyers is what triggered us to change the format of BTEX.
Excellent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because they felt that it was, I've been here, I've done the same thing, we need something different. And we went on, we were like, what can we do different? How can we make this better?
Yeah.
How can we really have them savor that Belize experience? And we came up with this, and the feedback that we're getting so far is we have repeat buyers who have been here for 2017, we're here for them, coming back again and saying, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Why every 2 years though? The tourism package changes so much, the competition, I thought you would want to be in the game every month if you could. Why every 2 years?
Well, there's a logical reason for us. We have two key signature projects that we do. One of them is last year we had Destination Belize, which is every 2 years now, and then BTEX. So to have both of them in 2 years, Belize has a small market in terms of the people that are going to support those projects. So we give them a little break so that they can jump from one to the other.
Yeah.
So that's the key, basically the main reason. So that, for last year was Destination Belize. So for this year, get ready. We need your support for you to invest your money on BTEX.
And I should say that there are international shows that some of these suppliers have the additional funding to go to. Yeah. The tourism board does host agents every so often, every year, for free. They bring agents to come and do site inspections and do activities.
And BTIA.
And BTIA as well, yes.
We also host agents.
We also host agents every year, and so while BTEX is every 2 years, we're still bringing in agents to know the destination.
And how much do you tap into the digital marketing, the bloggers and influencers that are, are they also a part of the BTEX experience to ensure that the word gets out there as well about this hot destination?
Yes, they are. We just need for BTEX to have the sufficient funding to be able to bring these people. Because most of these bloggers, we would like to bring at least 8 or 5, but we may only be able to bring in 1 or 2 because it's costly. We have to cover all the expenses for them. Yes. And we tried to, for 2017, we tried to see if BTB could assist us in bringing some of them. It didn't work out. So maybe we have that opportunity again this time around.
All right. So is there still space available? It takes place in May.
There's still space available. So BTIA members have a special rate. And if they register before by February 15th, they get a $200 discount. So there's an early bird fare. And they register on, need to go to btex.bz.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in and talking about just a little bit about the tourism industry. There's quite a bit more to talk about. Welcome as the new president.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I'm sure we'll be having you again too. And best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about Black History Month. So stay tuned.